Can you hear me now? Okay, I'm an idiot. My audio wasn't on. So I will start again. So, welcome to my little 40k show. Let me know if you're in the chat. Say hello. We are going to go through the Imperial Knights faction focus. We're going to go through the Tau faction focus today. Hopefully then we're going to, if you guys are enjoying it, we're going to then talk about some of the rules. Excellent, Blue Line, thank you. Some of the rules we're going to go through, maybe in a bit more depth, maybe how it's going to affect 10th edition compared to 9th edition. Raging Wyvern, morning. Okay, so we're going to start off with the Knights. Please let me know as we're going through what you think of the focus, the faction focus, of the rules. Let me know. Hello, Dan. Okay. So, Imperial Knights. Here we go. Faction rules. So, we'll just read this bit because there's something about bondsmen. So, you know where you stand with the Imperial Knights. Big stompy walkers with world-shaking weapons and enough armour to cover a tank regiment. However, in contrast to their traitor cousins, Imperial Knights are all about working together. The Questoris Knights shepherding smaller armigers to success through improved bondsman abilities. Bondsman abilities were really strong in 9th, so interesting to see what they do there. While larger Dominus Knights grant them protection of their wider ion shields. Okay, that's going to be interesting. So it seems like the Castellans are going to, sort of like the Questoris Knights give out abilities, and then the Castellans are going to maybe have like an aura to improve their invuln save, their ion shield. So the smaller ones could be running around with a 4-up invuln, it looks like, if they're near, you know, within range of a Castellan. All-round increase in vehicle durability has paid dividends for Imperial Knights who can sit on objectives all day with huge OC characteristics and fewer penalties once damaged. Okay, it's looking nice for Knights so far. Code Chivalric. If your army faction is Imperial Knights, at the end of the read mission objective step, you must select one of the oaths below to be active for your army. Models from your army are, with this ability, gain the associated oath ability and you gain the associated deed to complete. If at the start of any of your command phases, your selected oath deed is completed, your army becomes honoured for the rest of the battle. You gain 3 CP. So a nice little boost to CP. You can only gain CP in this way once per battle. Each time this model is selected to shoot or fight, re-roll a hit roll of 1 or a wound roll of a 1. So that's the ability. To be able to get that, you have to kill the enemy warlord. Okay. That's not that easy, or it could, you know, depending on who you're playing against. Like, I don't know how. I mean, what are them missiles that shoot over and you can shoot them out of line of sight at the moment? And there was a stratagem that you can target a character, like sniping missiles. Maybe if they're still a thing, it might not be so hard. So that could be quite good. And then we have Reclaim the Realm. Oath ability. Add 1 inch to this model's move characteristic. Add 1 to advance and charge rolls made for this model. Okay, so the deed is completed if you control 1 or more objective markers in your opponent's deployment zone. So add 1 to your move and advance and charge is really, really nice. But I feel like, you know, to get that early enough in the game to make it matter, you're going to have to just yeet a armiger up the board and try and get it on an objective in your opponent's deployment zone, and then get anything off of it so that you can then control it. I mean, that's not easy by any stretch of the imagination. So I feel like they're both quite difficult to do. You get the oaths automatically. It's the CP connected to the deed. Oh, really? If your army faction is Imperial Knights, at the end of the read mission step, you must select one oaths below to be active for your army. Models in your army with this ability gain the associated oath ability, and you gain the associated deed complete. Oh! Thank you, Bedford 988. Thank you. I completely misread that. So, wow. So you're gonna just you're already honoured. You just come in and you're sort of like, oh yeah, I'm honoured. Okay. Oh no, it becomes honoured once you've done your deed, but you get the ability to help you. Okay, so that is way, way better than I first thought. Thanks, that Bedford, clearing that up. Okay, so you get the free CP, and then we have Indomitable Knights. All Imperial Knights models from your army have Feel No Pain 6+ ability. If your army is honoured, those models have the Feel No Pain 5+ ability. Okay, so then if you do the deed, you become honoured and you get a 5+ Feel No Pain. Right, okay, so the 5+ Feel No Pain might be a bit harder to get. Again, though, you could yeet an Armiger up and then start getting a 5+ Feel No Pain army-wide, which could be nice. Interesting. So, yeah, that's very, very nice. Okay. Armigers are the closest thing Imperial Knights have to line troops, and a much welcome upgrade to toughness accompanies a generic objective characteristic of 8, making sure they can hold ground just as well as other armies at least once a few foes have met their fate at the end of a Reaper chain cleaver. OC8 is really big, I think. They counted as 5 models in the last one. Counting as 8 models is a lot, because that means you're always... There's a lot of 5 model units in 40k, so you're always out objective securing them. Although that's not true, because if they're troops, they're probably OC2, so there'd be 10. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. So that's why they've done it. So they're just under a 5-man troop unit. I see what they've done there. Okay, so movement 12, T10, 3+ save, wounds 12, leadership 7+, OC 8. So the melter gun is the same as what we've seen. This is 3+ ballistic skill, strength 9, -4 d6, melter 2. The Questoris Heavy Souther is rapid fire 3, so that will go up to 6 shots, which is really nice, 36-inch range. Strength 4, -1, 1 damage, so it's pretty good in this edition, I think. Thermal Spear, Melter 4. Very nice. So 24-inch range. So if you're within half range of that, in 12 inches, 2 shots. 3+ ballistic skill, strength 12, AP 4, which is really good AP in this edition. And then you're going to be D6 + 4. Oof. That's going to be nice. Really nice. So, next up, we have the Reaper Chain Cleaver Strike. So melee, 4 attacks, 3+ weapon skills, strength 10, -3, 3 damage. 4 attacks does seem low. What do you guys think? 4 attacks. I mean, I think there were 4 attacks in this in 9th as well, but it just seems like not enough. Maybe I think 5 would have felt a bit better. And then the sweep is 8 attacks, 3+, and that's strength 8, -2, 1 damage. So nice at clearing like infantry and stuff. Then we have Deadly Demise D3, Code Chivalric, and then we have each time this model makes a charge move until the end of the turn, melee weapons equipped by this model have a sustained hit 1 ability. Okay, so that makes that Chain Cleaver a little bit better, because you're probably, you got a chance of getting an exploding hit. When this model has 1 to 4 wounds remaining, each time this model makes an attack, subtract 1. And then it has a 5 of inbomb. By the looks of things, if it's next to like a Dominus Knight, whatever they're called, Dominus Knight, it could be going to a 4+ from what I could gather from what that paragraph said. Okay, Canis Rex, movement 10, toughness 12. So we've gone toughness 10, toughness 12. So I'm assuming the bigger knights are going to be toughness 14. Would make absolute sense. 3+ save. Wounds 22, so 2 less wounds than they had before. 5+ leadership, OC 10. Nice. Okay. Chain Breaker, Las Impulsor, high intensity. 24-inch range, D6. It's 2+, strength 14, -3, 4 damage. Nice. And that's blast and sustained hits 1. It's quite nice. And then we've got the low intensity version, which is 2d6 shots, 2 ballistic skill, strength 7, -1, 2 damage. Also nice, and that has sustained hits 1 as well, and blast. And then we have the Chain Breaker multi-laser, sustained hits 1, which is 36-inch range, attacks 4, 2 up ballistic skill, strength 6, no AP, 1 damage. So it's like a, you just fire that off at a few gaunts or like some Necron warriors or something. Next up, melee weapons. Holy crap. Freedom's Hand, strike, sustains hit 1. Melee. Attacks 5, weapon skill 2, strength 20, -3, 9 damage. 9. Whoo. That is naughty. So you're probably going to get an exploding hit. You're hitting on 2s anyway, so you're probably going to get 5 hits. You're then wounding pretty much everything on like a 2 to 3. So let's say you get 3 wounds through. You're basically guaranteeing like 9 to 18 damage. Because most things won't have a better than a 4-up invuln against it. Wow. Canis Rex is equipped with Chain Breaker. Alright. He has the Super Heavy Walker faction keyword and code Chivalric. Legendary Freeblade. Once per turn, you can target this model with a stratagem for 0 CP. And you can use it even if a stratagem's already been used this phase. Each time this model makes an attack, an unmodified successful hit roll of a 5 scores a critical hit. Okay, so he's getting exploding hits on 5s. Yeah, so basically he's guaranteeing 18 damage through on a model with a 4-up invuln. Oh, that's killing most things. He is gonna be brutal. Let's hope he's a lot of points. Okay, so weapons spotlight. So we have 18-inch range. Oh, I'll just say, anyone think that Canis Rex is now going to be like a auto take? Obviously, depending on points. I mean, we haven't seen a lot of the other weapons and how the other knights work, but he is brutal. He does have the towering keyword, so he is able to be shot. Through terrain. Which makes him a little bit less good. And he's only movement 10. You know, movement 10, you've got to get round terrain with him. Okay, Thunder Coil Harpoon. This is the weapon on the Valiant. So, anti-monster 4+, anti-vehicle 4+. So he's wounding everything on a 4+. And he's got devastating wounds. In fact, does that mean it's critical hits on a 4+? Yes. So he's crit hitting on a 4+ for monsters and vehicles. Rab Skies would be good to see him on the table for once. I totally agree, because that's one thing we always say about Canis Rex. I've never ever seen him on the table. I've never seen one person play him because he was crap in previous editions. I mean, I think he came out in 8th. Like the box set for him, if I remember rightly, because he had the little dude with him. And yeah, I've never seen him being used, so it would be great to see him on the board. And he's like a named character, so he should be brutal. I agree. So it will be cool to see him on the board. So back to the Thundercoil Harpoon. So 18-inch range. I don't know if that's gone up. I think it went to 18-inch range in 9th. I think it was 12 before that, maybe. Or was it 12-inch range and then all with the buffs you could make it to 18-inch range? I can't remember, because you could add 6 inches to the weapons with one of them or something. Anyway, 1 attack, ballistic skill 2+, strength 24, -6, damage 12. So it's brutal. It should be. It's a Thundercoil Harpoon. It's meant to be like an anti-monster, anti-vehicle super weapon. Because it's got devastating wounds, it means that if you roll a wound against a monster or vehicle, if you roll a 4+, it will be 12 mortal wounds to wound. So that is really nice, really good. Obviously, this is a big knight. It's expensive. I mean, in the past couple of editions, it's been around the 600 points mark, and quite rightly as well, because it's got a load of weapons on it. It can really do damage, and it's a cool model. And hopefully we still see it on the table. Lewis Elms, who you will have seen on the channel if you've watched any of the battle reports, he's been in a few. He runs 2 of these guys, and he does a great job of it. And so long may it continue. Okay, next up in the weapons spotlight, we have the... oh yeah, just... You know, anyone think that any criticisms on the Thundercaller Harpoon? Anyone think it's too much? Not enough? Okay, Rapid Fire Battle Cannon. Blast. Rapid Fire D6 +3. So, I like the fact it's D6 +3. Makes it a bit reliable. Obviously, it's got that blast keyword as well. 72-inch range. So, you're going to be able to hit anywhere on the board with this. It's never going to be out of range. Oh, hang on. Rapid fire D6 +3. So you get D6 +3 attacks, and then it's rapid fire D6 +3. Oh, hang on. So does that mean you've got D6 +3 attacks, and if you're half range, you get 2d6 +2. So you get D6 +3 attacks, and you get that again if you're in half range. Ooh. That's a lot of shots. That's like... You could get up to 18 shots with that. Ooh. In half range. And half range is what? What's half of 72? Half of 72 is what? 36? So 36-inch range, and you could be seriously messing some stuff up. So 3 up ballistic skills, strength 10, -1 AP, 3 damage. I have got that right, haven't I? Tell me in the chat. So, if they're within 36-inch range, they're going to get D6 +3 and another D6 +3. And it's blast, so they could then be getting more on top of that. You get 1 for every 5, so you get up to, say it's a unit of 20, you get up to 4 more shots. So you could have up to 22 shots out of that rapid fire battle cannon if you roll 6s on the D6. Am I correct? Whew. At strength 10, -1, 3 damage. I mean, that's annihilating a lot of stuff. Okay. Let me know what you guys think about the old rapid fire battle cannon, because to me, that's looking super strong. Okay, shoulder the burden. Stratagems now. Play it in your command phase. You target 1 Imperial Knight model from your army that has lost 1 or more wounds. Until the start of your next command phase, improve your model's move, toughness, save, leadership, and objective control characteristic by 1. Each time your model makes an attack, add 1 to the hit roll. Wow. That's a really good stratagem. Restriction, you can only use this stratagem once per battle. If your army is honoured, you can use this stratagem 1 additional time. Okay, so you can use it probably up to once, but up to twice. But that's really nice. That's like, I mean, to improve the toughness, what you're going from like 12 to 13. I'm not sure that will really matter. But the move, get an extra move, improving your save by 1. So you've got 2 up save. You've got the objective control might end up getting you taking an objective off someone if they've got a load of troops on there, and you'll just need that 1 extra to you go from contesting it to controlling it, and then add 1 to hit rolls. Really nice as well. So that's really good. Then we have 1 CP for Noble Lance. Your shooting phase or the fight phase, 1 Imperial Knights model from your army that has been selected to shoot or fight this phase, and 1 enemy monster or vehicle unit. You target one Imperial Knights model from your army that has not been selected to shoot or fight this phase, and one enemy monster or vehicle unit. So you're targeting one knight and one enemy monster or vehicle. Until the end of the phase, each time your model makes an attack that targets that enemy unit, add 1 to the wound roll. If your model destroys that enemy unit this phase, you gain 1 CP. But if your model does not destroy that enemy unit this phase, you cannot use this stratagem again for the rest of the battle. Okay. So, let's say you've got one of them Valiants with the old harpoon, some melters, the other guns, and then you play that. There's a good chance that you're probably going to kill that monster or vehicle and you'll get a CP. I like it, but I do like the fact there's a risk to it, because if you don't kill it, you can't use the stratagem ever again for the rest of your life, no, rest of the battle. So I like that. There's a bit of risk reward. I like risk reward things. Like I always think the same with Melter. Like a multi-melter's 24-inch range, but then you can risk getting in within 12 of something and get that extra 2 damage. But quite often, if that's a melee unit, they're going to probably come back and hit you. Or something else can come and hit you because you're getting in range to get that extra damage. Good risk reward. Okay, so that was the Imperial Knights. What have they said about... With Code Chivalric Army Rule, we wanted to reinforce the narrative of Imperial Knights pledging themselves to honourable quests, explains James from the Design Studio. As well as endowing your war machines with powerful benefits throughout the battle, these oaths also offer free command points should they be accomplished. Okay, like Bedford said. Thank you, Bedford, because I really would have got the wrong end of the stick there. Command points are a much more precious commodity in this edition, so this is a substantial prize that could unlock all important extra stratagem plays at critical moments. On top of this, we were keen to ensure that the Imperial Knights function as a cohesive tactical force. Their hefty OC characteristics enable them to claim objectives even when outnumbered by lesser foes, and the Bondsman abilities offer a variety of interplays between your larger and smaller models, ranging from lethal hits and lance abilities dished out by the Knight Paladin to the rerolls to charge rolls and hit rolls conferred by the Knight Gallant. Okay, so there's a couple of things you know what you're getting. So if you've got a Paladin, you can get lethal hits and lance abilities. Lance ability is +1 on the charge. Oof. That's very nice. You've got a load of little armigers, warglaves, 3 of them, and then they just go... I mean, I'm not sure if you can give out to all 3 of them. Maybe it's only 1, but you send that in, +1 to wound. That's really good. And then the lethal hits ability as well. Auto wounded on 6s. Play that on another one. Maybe on a Helverin. Nice. Okay. Thoughts on Space Marine tanks. What are my thoughts on Space Marine tanks? In 10th edition. My thoughts on Space Marine tanks in 10th edition are... They look... So far, they look tougher than they were. But I'm starting to see a lot of ways to kill said tanks in terms of these harpoons. I mean, even this, you know, strength 10, -1, you're taking... I can't remember if the repulsor's now got 2 up save, but if it's got 3 up, you're taking it to -1. Yeah, you're wounding on 5s, but then there's a lot of shots at damage 3. You know, I can see there's a lot of ways to bring them down. I mean, obviously, if you get into combat with a Space Marine tank, it's dead with old Canis Rex. But yeah, Space Marine tanks look like, especially with like the assault ramp keyword on the Land Raiders, they look like they're going to be more usable. They're going to be harder to destroy by infantry units, it looks like. So it's not like you know, nowadays, if you take a Rhino, it's like pretty much anything on the board in 9th edition can kill a Rhino in 1 turn without much effort. Whereas now it's going to be like, you know, a lot of things are going to be wounded on 6s. Like even your average bolter is going to be wounded on 6s. So it makes that Rhino just a lot more durable. But yeah, I think it's so hard to tell because we haven't seen all of the rules. But at the moment, it looks like infantry are actually going to find it quite hard to kill tanks. And I think you're going to have to bring some seriously heavy weapons. Like, unless you've got a specific heavy weapons squad, I don't think your average infantry is killing tanks. You know, I don't think that your Necrons aren't killing tanks. The only thing is that I would say is there's a lot of lethal hits being dished out from what we can see so far. So lethal hits are the auto wounding on 6s. Now I sort of wish they had said that this auto wounding on 6s didn't work against monsters and vehicles, because you're taking they've done this great thing by like bringing out this toughness gauge. You know, you've gone from T8 pretty much, T9. You've got the odd thing that was T9 in 9th edition, or you can make it T9. And they've gone boom up to T14, and now the stuff like a Rhino's now tougher than what a Land Raider was. You know, so they've done a really good job of that, and then they've kept a lot of the weapons the same strength, like bolters, like thunder hammers, and like melters have gone up a little bit, like 1 strength here and there, but most of it stayed the same. So you know, a melter gun was all the anti-tank you ever needed. Well, now it's not. You need to take bigger weapons, which I think is good. And as long as all armies have got the ability to take them bigger guns, then that's fine. But I do think it makes it so you do have to bring some big guns. As long as lethal hits isn't... This is why I don't like lethal hits, because lethal hits means that you can still take infantry. Like, for instance, I don't know, you could have lethal hits to a big Space Marine unit, and then you put a Battalion next to him, re-roll into hit, and then you just fish for 6s on like 3 or 4 units, because his is an aura. And you just go, blah, 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 and it's just volume, just kills any tank. It doesn't matter what tank it is, because it's lethal hits. Dan says knights seem so potent to see some armies struggling to kill them. Yeah, I mean, it's really hard to say at the moment. Knights seem very potent and they seem great. But we haven't seen a lot. I mean, you look at the prisms, the Craft World fire prisms. I reckon they'll take down knights fairly reliably. I think there's ways to do it. You just have to tech into taking. You're going to have specific anti-tank stuff, or you're going to have an army of just lethal hits, which to be honest seems like you can do. Like Necron Warriors, for instance. If you have 100 Necron Warriors and there's ways to get rerolls, then maybe you'll be able to do it that. But Abaddon's a key for Chaos Space Marines, because he can reroll hits with an aura. So you're going to be able to just go and just have like 5 units around him, just lethal hits, and it's going to be sad times. Mr. Postman, I ordered a Repulsor Executioner, hopefully beneficial for 10th. Yeah, I have a Repulsor Executioner myself, and I do think that they will be good in 10th. I do. Because, yeah, there's going to be certain things that can kill them like that. Like, you know, the Harpoon and Knights. But Knights are going to be more teched up for killing, and always have been teched up for killing tanks and monsters. So, you know, but the rest of your army should hopefully function. And there's ways to keep repulsors safe. Like, you can put them behind terrain. Say it's a bit of terrain that has windows in it so you can see through. You'll be able to shoot the knights and they won't be able to shoot you. So there's things like that to get round knights and that sort of thing. George also thinks like battle cannons and plague blight mortars are anti-elite and anti-tank anymore. Just deal with elites and light vehicles. Yes, I agree. So the rapid fire battle cannon, I mean, it's strength 10, so you can shoot, like you say, light vehicles. Let's take the Gladiator Reaper. I think is T10 now. It's toughness 10. So you'll be able to probably reliably, with that many shots if you're in half range, probably reliably do quite a bit of damage to a Gladiator Reaper or a Gladiator style tank. Whereas you're going to probably bounce off of, like, with this gun, you're going to bounce maybe a little bit more off a Monolith. You're going to bounce off a Land Raider or a Repulsor Executioner, that sort of thing. Dan says the Repulsor Executioner will be a lot better than 9th. Yes, I agree. Repulsor Executioner will be a lot better than it is in 9th. So, but yeah, this battle cannon is 100% for dealing with elites, you know, your Terminators. Although it's only got -1 AP, but, you know, as we've seen, everything's got a lot less AP. We're not expecting everything to have big AP. We're only expecting really the big guns to have high AP. And obviously Melter, because that's what Melter does. Melts. Okay, let's move on to Zitao, shall we? Just realised I haven't changed the scene the whole way along. Because I'm an idiot. Okay. You can actually see the page now rather than just my face. Apologies. Okay. The promise of progress, understanding and goodwill for all doesn't sound very Warhammer 40,000, but one group of plucky underdogs is trying to make it happen far to the galactic east. We might be selling them a little short. They're actually a quickly expanding confederation of alien species armed with rapid technological, tactical innovation and ironclad devotion to the greater good, and some of the biggest guns in the galaxy. Yeah, for the greater good. You know, that was always a good thing. It's never been used in a bad way for the greater good. Yes, it's the Tau Empire, and today we're looking at how the most fluid and flexible faction of the far future, except perhaps Tyranids, is adapting to the new edition of Warhammer 40,000. Yeah. Okay, let's get into the rules. For the greater good. For the greater good. If your army faction is Tau Empire, then in your shooting phase, units from your army can work in pairs to help each other target specific units. When they do this, one unit is the observer unit, and the other is the guided unit. The enemy they are targeting is called the spotted unit. It's already confusing, isn't it? Each time you select this unit to shoot, if it is not an observer unit, it can use this ability. If it does, select one other friendly unit with this ability that is also eligible to shoot, excluding fortification, battle shock, or observer units. Until the end of the phase, this unit is considered a guided unit, and that friendly unit is considered an observer unit. Then select one enemy unit that is visible to both your units to be their spotted unit. Simplified, guys. Not simple. Not simple. So, you have one unit. How do you know that the unit you're using is the observer unit? Each time you select this unit to shoot... Hang on. If your army faction is Tau Empire, then in your shooting phase, units from your army can work in pairs to help each other. Target specific enemy units. When they do so, one unit is the observer unit. But how do you know it's the observer unit? George Hutley, I like the greater good rule, great and thematic. Whoever wrote it needs sacking. Yeah. Okay, maybe this will get explained as I go down. Until the end of the phase, each time a model in a guided unit makes an attack that targets their spotted unit, improve the ballistic skill characteristic of that attack by 1. Each time a model in the unit makes a... Okay, so you're improving the ballistic skill. So does that mean it's not a +1 to hit? It's actually improving the ballistic skill. So you can get a further plus to hit on that. Can you? Let me know, chat. If their observer unit has the Markerlight keyword, that attack has the ignores cover ability. So Markerlight's now just ignore cover. Each time a model in a guided unit makes an attack that does not target their spotted unit, worsen the skill of the characteristic by 1. Okay, so they then get a worse if they're not hitting the guided unit. Okay. Interesting. So basically, observer unit says, I want to shoot that unit becomes the spotted unit, and then he says, I'm going to guide you, Mr. Storm Surge, to smash that unit. You get +1 to hit. Basically, you improve your characteristic by 1. Blue Lion says you can get a +1 to hit as well. Okay, so you can get the +1 to hit as well, as I thought. So it improves your ballistic skill, then you can get a +1 on that. So you can go from what I should imagine is most of the time 4s to a 3, then to a 2 if you can get a +1 to hit. Very nice. Okay, so dedicated spotters have a new lease on life. Not only do Pathfinders all come with marker lights to aid guided units to ignore the cover, they can also act as observer twice per turn with their target uploaded ability. Okay, so Pathfinders sound pretty useful for the Tau. Okay. It means split fire sucks for Tau. Yeah, that's true. Actually, I didn't think about it, George. Yeah, good, very good point. So basically, yeah, because if you go, oh, okay, I'm going to shoot this unit in this unit, you're going to be shooting this unit on a 3+, and you're going to be shooting that unit on a 5+. Yeah, that could be a bad day. Although, if you do this guy, because if they can be aid guided units and blasting for, you can also act as observer twice per turn. So you can't. Can you? No, you can't guide the same unit twice because it's twice per turn, but not twice per activation. Okay, so drone burst cannon. So 18-inch range, 4 attacks, ballistic skill 5. It is strength 5, 0p, 1 damage. Okay, nice. Strength 5. It's hitting on a 5, which isn't great, but it's a drone. Iron rifle standard, heavy. Iron rifle overcharge, hazardous heavy. So basically some sort of like, is it ions, like a bit like plasma. So both ballistic skill 5, but if you stand still, it's heavy, you'll be hitting on 4s. Strength 7 and strength 8. -1, -2, 1 and 1 damage. So you basically you get a 1 improvement across the table on each strength, AP and damage if you use the hazardous version. Just means that you have to roll afterwards, and if you roll a 1, you die. Pulse carbine, 20-inch range, 2 attacks. Oh, the ions, 3 attacks, which is nice. 4 up ballistic skill, strength 5, 0p, 1 damage. Like the pulse carbines out there, their standard gun, I believe, isn't it? I don't play Tau myself, but from what when I've played against them. Pulse pistol, 12-inch range. Again, same thing, just a pistol, 1 shot. The rail rifle, devastating wounds. So on a 6 to wound, it will do mortals instead of the damage. So 30-inch range, ballistic skill 5. It's heavy, so you can take it to 4 if you don't move. Strength 10, AP 4, 3 damage. I can see in 10th edition there is a lot of similarities between the Tau and the Votan. I know they're like men who have traded and stuff. This is why we've got like rail rifles and things like that. But it seems like they're very similar at the moment, which I'm not a huge fan of. I didn't want them to make Tau. I didn't want them to make Votan into Tau, but we'll see, because it's like they've both got crap ballistic skill. For Tau to make their ballistic skill better, they get guided by another unit who's an observer unit. But for Votan, we have to put judgment tokens on stuff to get better ballistic skill. It feels very, very similar. Okay, semi-automatic grenade launcher. EMP, anti-vehicle 4+, and devastating wounds. So on a wound roll of a 4, you'll be doing mortal wounds. So 18-inch range, hitting on a 4, strength 3, 0 AP, 1 damage. So you just can probably get in to be doing the odd mortal wound with that. Nothing to write home about. It's alright. And then you've got the fusion version, which is strength 6, -1, 3 damage. That's actually alright. Only 1 shot, but it might be quite good against like a Marine or Terminator or something like that. Elites. And next up, close combat weapon. Weapon skill 5, strength 3, AP 0, 1 damage, 1 attack. What we expect from the Tau. So they have the Scout 7 which is nice. So a 7-inch pre-game move. Oh yeah, we didn't go through their thing before. So movement 7, T3, 4 up save, 1 wound, leadership 7, OC 1. Are these elites? They're not battle line, are they? No. Pathfinder team, and they have the Markerlight keyword. So target uploaded. Once per turn when using the Greater Good ability, you can select this unit to be an observer unit for a second time. When doing so, you can change which enemy unit this unit's spotted unit. Yes, so you can change the unit you want to get people to shoot at. Grav inhibit a drone. Subtract 2 from the charge rolls made for enemy unit declares a charge against that bearer's unit. This is not cumulative of any other reduction to that charge roll. Add 6 inches to the range characteristic of pulse carbines equipped by models in the bearer's unit. Okay, they're only 20-inch range at the minute. I thought pulse carbines used to be a lot better range than that, didn't they? Did pulse carbines used to be better range than that? I'm sure they used to be like 30, 36-inch range. Oh, maybe I'm thinking of the other one that the thingies have. And then we have the recon drone. The bearer is equipped with 1 drone burst cannon, and the bearer's unit has the infiltrator's ability. Also, you can infiltrate. That's very nice. Yeah, nice. I mean, it looks like drones are just now abilities, so you don't actually need the models anymore because they're not worth anything. Is that right? Oh, I saw that. Even minimally equipped squad of Pathfinders can dramatically increase the efficiency of your bigger guns with a bit of careful positioning, but if you like to pack yours with all the fancy toys, you're also well catered for. Eagle-eyed Earth-cast engineers will notice that the special grav inhibitor drones, pulse accelerator drones, and recon drones are listed as war gear abilities rather than models in their own right. That's due to a new approach to drones across the board. Instead of individual models, all drones are treated as equipment on a model's datasheet, granting new weapons or abilities directly to the unit. So basically, you don't need the actual drone models anymore. I mean, I suppose they're just used as markers to be like, oh, I've got this is this drone, and this gives me this ability, but it's not counted as a model for any other reason. Each time model makes a ranged attack with targets a bearer's unit, subtract 1 from the wound roll. Guardian drone, that's a nice ability. The bearer is equipped with the following. So this is the twin pulse carbine. You reroll wounds of it. I mean, it'd be alright if you had loads of them. Marker drone, so you get the marker light. The bearer's unit has the marker light keyword and can act as an observer unit for another unit even if it advances this turn. Okay, that's nice. Pathfinder team is currently a fast attack unit and the pulse carbine is 24 inches. Okay, so it has lost 4-inch range. Missile drone. So you can fire a missile, 30-inch range, 2 attacks, ballistics equal 5, strength 7, AP 2, 2 damage. And shield drone, add 1 to the bearer's wound characteristic. Well, hang on. Oh, I'm assuming you can't take it on these. Because if you adding 1 to the wound, does that add 1 to all of their wounds? Because that would make them, like, say there's 10 of them, that would make them 20 wounds rather than 10. I'm assuming that's why they don't get the option. So maybe this shield drone will only be put onto single models to add 1 to the wound characteristic. Or you can just, like, add 1 to the sergeant, whatever the sergeant is called, wound characteristic. Okay, what do we think is, for any Tau players watching, what are your feelings about the switch to drones being basically abilities or guns and not actually having a presence on the board as such? How do people feel about it? Or if you're not, I mean, for me, as someone that's played against Tau a fair amount over the last couple of editions, shield drones were the bane of my life. It always just didn't quite feel right. I mean, in 9th edition they weren't bad. I'm talking about 8th edition, to be honest. 9th edition they weren't bad. But in terms of them just not really having a presence on the board. I don't know, it feels weird because drones have just felt like a part of Tau. It's like they've got like these little sort of, you know, these drones that are just a little bit crap, but they actually do something for the army, you know. Blue Lion says, I'm a guard player, so death to the Xenos. Fair enough, fair enough. Get rid of them all. Well, the Tau are communists anyway, so, you know, greater good and all that. When really the ethereals are sitting there with all the power. Okay. We have a railgun. It's heavy. It's devastating wounds. There is no ignore invuns, which I think has probably been gotten rid of from what we've seen in this edition, because Be'lakor didn't have it, which he had it in combat. The railgun doesn't have it. So this will be a lot less effective due to the fact that it doesn't ignore invuns. George says playing against Tau wasn't fun. No, yeah, I quite agree. Sometimes it was really not fun, especially when there was in 8th, when the shield drones were just absolutely bonkers. So 72-inch range, 1 attack, ballistic skill 4+, so you'll be hitting on a 3 without anything, you know, because a long strike obviously gave it some benefits in the past, but you'll be hitting on a 3 if you're guided. Strength 20. AP 5, which is really good AP because you'll hit anything with, you know, even if you've got a 2-up save, you still don't get a save. So you need an invuln to get a save against this gun. And it's D6 plus 6. So it's up to 12 damage. I like it. It hasn't got the extra 3 mortal wounds, but it's a big, scary gun. You know, if you get shot with it and you fail your invuln save or you don't get a save, you are getting smashed up. I like it because I should imagine the hammerhead, well, the hammerhead in 9th edition was fairly glassy. You could kill it fairly easy. So as long as you've got the guns to be able to hit back, and as far as I know, it hasn't got any ways of shooting out of line of sight other than the SMS missiles, but I mean with the big gun, so it will have to come out, put itself in a bit of danger, do its big shot, and then hopefully you smash it back if you're still alive. Okay, Storm Surge's gun on the weapon spotlight. What do we think about the railgun? Any think it's too much? You think it's not enough? You think that it's going to be terrible now? I mean, it's strength 20, so it's wounding most things on 3s or 2s. AP 5 is going to get through most armor if you haven't got an invuln. D6 plus 6. It's a reliable amount of damage. I like it. I think it's good. I don't think it's like, it's not as guaranteed as it was in 9th, but it's good. Okay, Storm Surge. George says, so if you have a spotter squad and the hammerhead was stationary, it's hitting on 2s. Oh yeah, it's heavy, of course. However though, what I will say is it probably won't often be, because you're going to have to move that out. And if you move that out, people are going to shoot at it. You know, so it's rare that it's going to survive to get the heavy. Unless there's like a stratagem for you to move without incurring the penalty. Very scary gun. If it targets a unit that is lasered and has a +1 to hit modifier. Yes, Blue Line. Yeah, so... yeah, so you could be hitting on 2s, which would be... it would be naughty, but like I say, you'd almost have to, either your unit would have to move into line of sight of the hammerhead, but more than likely the hammerhead's going to move to get line of sight on you, and then the next turn, if you've got any big guns left, you're going to kill that hammerhead, otherwise you're going to be in trouble. However, if he moves 3 out, if you've got 3 hammerheads and you move 3 out, you might not have enough guns to kill all 3, so you have to concentrate on 1, and these 2 then might remain stationary and then get there hitting on 2s. So, interesting. But yeah, And obviously on a wound roll of a 6, they're mortal wounds as well. So that's a bit naughty. Okay. Pulse Blast Cannon from the Storm Surge. Focused heavy. So 24-inch range. So not massive range. 24 inches is actually relatively restricted. You can maneuver to stay out of range of that, which would then make him move, and it's heavy, so he wouldn't get the +1 to hit. But again, he can be hitting on 2s if he's guided. The Guardian drone on tanks as well. What's the Guardian drone? Ah, subtract 1 for wound roll. Yeah, that will be really, really nice. Subtracting 1 for wound roll on tanks. Oof. Or on a Storm Surge, if you can have it. I mean, we don't know yet what the Guardian... I'm assuming like this, with the War Gear abilities, it will tell you what you can take. So, but yeah, if the Guardian drone you can put on tanks, that will be really nice. -1 to wound on tanks. Oof. Okay, so 2 attacks. Ballistic skill 4+ that we can get to 3. Then maybe a 2 if it doesn't move. Strength 24. -6. 12 damage. Now, they done -6 because they wanted to say, fuck you. I don't care if you got 2 up save and in cover. You still ain't getting a save. that is what GW wanted to say with a Pulse Blast Cannon. No one is getting a save from this gun. Okay? No one. So, 2 attacks. I mean, the averages are that you're probably going to get 1 wound through. And then most things it's shooting probably have an invuln. So then you've got an invuln to try and save. Otherwise, you take 12 damage. I think it's fair. Like, it's on a big unit. Again, it depends how all of these things are pointed, but let's say this is a 400-point model. Okay, I'm not unhappy with it. So dispersed heavy, this is 48-inch range, so much better range. 6 attacks, ballistic skill 4, strength 10, AP 2, 4 damage. Okay, so this is your Terminator, your maybe Dreadnought. Maybe against the Reapers, so the Gladiators, sorry. That could be what that's used for. Both are really nice profiles, to be honest. Very, very good. Very, very good gun. Really good profile. It'll be interesting to see what the other guns are like on the Storm Surge and how they point it. Because for me, I want everything in the game to be usable. Like, I want them to be pointed and have their rules, so they're not like, for instance, the monolith in the last in 9th edition hasn't really been that usable, because it didn't have fly, to be honest, which was its main problem, and terrain and stuff. But and its durability because of how killy everything was in 9th. But I want to see everything pointed to a point where they're like, it's an option, you know? It's not like, oh, there's just, I don't want to see anything in a codex which is just like, I'll never use that. Alright, for instance, let's take the obelisk. The obelisk in the Necron Codex. It was just like, what's the point even having it in the codex? It's so bad that no one is ever going to take it. I mean, probably someone did, but, you know, I want to see good internal balance in codexes. I believe the focus profile has a very similar stat line to one of the knight's weapons. Yeah. Yeah, with the harpoon. It's pretty similar. But yeah, so I want to see good internal balance. I want to see the things pointed right and also have rules that are usable, you know? And I know that, you know, pointing stuff is going to be hard and they'll have to adjust it through the edition and things like that. But yeah, that's what I'd like to see. Good internal balance in armies where everything in every model, you know, in your codex or in your or index, whatever, is an option. It's like, oh, I might take that. And it's not just like, I'm going to take it because it's a laugh. Like, I'm going to take it because it actually can have an impact on the game. And I think that's what everyone obviously wants. And I'm sure that's maybe what GW want. But then you look at the obelisk and you think that's not what they wanted, because that's so bad. The rules just weren't good enough. You could have made it like 30 points. Obviously, it would have been taken at 30 points. But you know what I'm saying. Okay. Combat Embarkation. So 1 CP. You play it in your opponent's charge phase just after an enemy unit has declared a charge. 1 Tau Empire infantry unit from your army that was selected as one of the targets of that charge, and 1 friendly transport. So you select one of your transports and one of your infantry units. The infantry unit has to be declared as a charge. Your unit can embark within that transport. If it does, your opponent can select new targets for that charge. Okay. So this would be really nice against like a pure combat, like say demons, like a pure combat army. And you could use it as like a screen, your models as a screen. Let's say I don't know, Pathfinders or whatever. You have them in front of the it doesn't say, this is just after, it doesn't say whether you can overwatch and then do it, but although I don't think you have to have been declared a charge to overwatch anyway now. So you have it as a screen, and then you've got your in front of a bit of terrain, and then you've got your devilfish sitting behind the terrain out of line of sight, and then you just put them back 3 inches, and then it makes the charge 3 inches longer for that unit. So that's quite nice. Not so nice if they've got guns, because they'll probably just shoot your Pathfinders anyway. So, but yeah, interesting. I like it. It's a cool little strat. Every model that has to be within 3 inches of that transport, yeah. Sufficient transport capacity to embark the entire unit. So, I'll just read this bit, see if there's any other information that we're going to get. It hasn't said anything about Overwatch, whether they get better Overwatch or anything like that. So the Tau believe in the greater good, supporting each other where warriors of less enlightened factions might compete for glory, says David from the Women's Design Studio. We reflected this in their army rule for improving for the greater good, which when you select a unit to shoot lets you choose another observer unit to guide them, improving the ballistic skill of the attacking unit. This rule rewards you for setting up overlapping fields of fire, drawing your enemies into carefully prepared kill boxes, and launching perfectly timed attacks to obliterate your targets in your storm of solid shot, plasma and mini missiles. The Kayun detachment allows you to really lean into the aspect of Tau military doctrine, equipping you with ways to leave enemy units exposed to hit with devastating force later in the battle. Guided units become even stronger with attachments sustained 2 from the 3rd battle round onwards. So let's go back to Kayun actually. From the 3rd battle round onwards, all ranged weapons equipped with Tau Empire models from your army have the sustained hit 1 ability. And then while it's guided, it has sustained hits 2. Yeah, that's really, really nice. That's a lot of extra shooting. So, is there an observer keyword? Can anyone tell me how you know that a unit is an observer unit? Because it's just sort of, it doesn't really say. It doesn't say one has to be or one doesn't. George says, I think Tau are really thematic. They have a back gun line of heavy tanks and suits and a forward pushing infantry line to block charges, screen and spot enemies for big guns. Yeah, I agree. George, I think they look really cool, and they look how they sort of should be. I mean, this is a bit I'm sure this will become clearer and easier. It's just the way it's written. But I'm still trying to work out if it's how you assess what an observer unit is. Is there an observer? You select an observer unit to support a guided unit. So you can just select any unit to be the observer unit? Is that correct? I'm gathering you both have to be visible as well. Yeah, interesting. I just don't know. I'm assuming you can just select any unit to be. Oh, I'm the observer unit, and I think the observer unit just hits on normal ballistic skill, just whatever its ballistic skill is. George says, I think the observer unit thing is basically you can't pick a unit to be an observer unit twice, just worded badly. Ah, okay. So you can pick any unit to be an observer unit. It just means the observer unit doesn't get the +1 to hit or the negative to hit a different unit. It just hits on its normal profile. But it basically means you take your less good shooting unit to be the observer unit. You guide your good shooting unit to get the +1 to hit to annihilate something. Yeah, I like it. It's good. It's cool. Movement 7 on the Pathfinders is nice. Yes, so you just pick a weak unit to be the observer unit, but it can only do it once. Yeah, unless it's a Pathfinder, and then you can do it twice with its special rule. I'm not sure. The only thing I'm not sure about is the drones. I'm not sure if taking them completely out of. I mean, you've almost taken them out of the game. It's just that they're now just war gear, like it's or abilities. It's just a bit. Don't know. For all those people that got like 120 drones sitting at home, it's like, what are they doing with them? Yeah. But, interesting. So what I wanted to talk about was, if we, the combat in 10th edition so far, from what we've seen, and I'd like to get your guys' views on this as well. So the way the combat phase works in 10th seems to be extremely different to how it works in 8th. Now what I want to do is actually, I want to get up, let's get up some, I want to see a couple of combat units. So let's get up, I can't remember if where they thingied the Space Marine. I don't think they've actually done any Space Marine close combat units as such, but there was a guy. There was a guy. So we have the Gene Stealers for the Tyranids. They're a close combat unit. Trying to think if there's any other close combat units in terms of like units of troops rather than a big character or a big unit. The World Eaters must have had a close combat unit. Let's have a look at them. Is there a close combat army? Okay, the World Eaters must have had, yeah, Berserkers. Okay, so what I want to get to is I feel like it's going to be a lot harder to play a close combat army efficiently. Well, it seems like it could be harder to play a close combat army efficiently in this edition, especially when you've got the likes of, you know, some good shooting and things like that with all of these sustained hits, lethal hits, and that sort of thing. Because the way it works is, from what I can gather, and let me know if I'm wrong, but so you have to be in base-to-base contact to actually be able to activate to hit with a model. Unless you're in the second row, and then you can be in base-to-base contact with your model that's in base-to-base contact. I think that is how it works. So, when you get into these, like, because with close, and I'm really talking about specifically close combat, like focused armies, like World Eaters, like Space Wolves, like Drukhari, or you know, demons. These real specific close combat armies, because where you've got like stuff like terrain and things like that, and then we haven't seen the terrain rules, so we still got to see that, because maybe you can fight through terrain, and who knows. But at the moment it seems like you're gonna, if you've got big groups, so you've got 10-man units of berserkers, or 10-man units of terminators, or 10-man units of witches, whatever it is, and then you've got like maybe terrain and other things, and stuff starts to get all a bit bunched up. I think it's going to be a lot harder to get like all of your attacks onto one unit, which maybe this is, you know, specifically what they wanted to blunt melee a little bit, but it just seems like it's going to be a lot harder to get all of your attacks in, and maybe that will mean that everyone's going to be taking smaller units because of this rule. I don't know, but it would seem like, for instance, if you've got 10 witches aren't really brutal in combat. What they are brutal for is because they've got high volume. You need that high volume. Like having 10 witches, you can then get enough volume through that you can really kill some stuff. Whereas if with 5 witches, you're probably not going to kill that much, and then you get killed in return. So yeah, it's just interesting to see how that plays out, and especially now you haven't got the movement with the pile in, you haven't got the movement with the consolidate as much. You know, it's a lot more restricted, because the pile in movement, you have to end, if you can, when you finish your charge, you have to be in base to base with that unit if you can. So you won't get like that pile in, you won't get that movement round, and then you're not going to then get that consolidation afterwards. And I think this is going to hinder melee armies a lot. I'm not sure if this is something that GW have really tried to do to hinder melee armies, or if they've done it as like, we're just trying to make everything simpler. So by everything being in base to base, there's no question to it, there's no gaminess, if you like. But I feel like melee armies are going to be losing a lot in terms of movement and things like that. Don't get me wrong, there's still ways to play, there will still be ways to play, and still ways to get round that. But yeah, I definitely feel like so far from the rules we've seen, melee armies seem to be taking a little bit of a hit. What do you guys think? Do you think I'm wrong? Do you think I'm right? Who knows? But yeah, it's just an interesting thing I thought to think on. Whereas I feel like when you've got the single models, so you've got the likes of Angron and things like that, it's not so much of an issue, because he's going to be in base to base. He gets to use all of his attacks. You know, you're not using 50% of your points if you can only get half in. You're using all of it. So yeah, I think that's interesting. Let me know what you guys think in the comments as well with the Knights and the Tau. I hope you have enjoyed the stream, or enjoyed the video if you've watched it afterwards. Yeah, let me know what you think, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks. Bye.